to a citizen, fool. Citizen to a citizen, fool.
Key to life.
Another one. And now, our feature presentation.
Back with our official third, really second video that we're doing on the 2A Talk platform. We have a super special guest joining us today. During the pandemic, if you're a parent, if you have children, you leaned on these people, this person, to go ahead and really walk you through how to homeschool and get your kids through through the day with them being home with you. Even outside of the pandemic, before and after, you leaned on this person. They weren't considered first responders, but I consider them the first responders in many ways, because they're at your beck and call, with or without a pandemic. She's a teacher in the school system. If you didn't guess by now, one of the most important jobs that you can have, that people do have, taking care of our kids, teaching them, educating them, sometimes consoling them, and consulting with the parents and directing them. We have today Vanette Dare. Welcome, Vanette, to the show. To God. And of course, we can't forget our co-host. We call him T. Will, Thailand Will, 3Dub, our guy from I Love Humans, coming straight at you from Thailand. It's Sunday morning for him, Saturday night for us. So just imagine. Will, welcome back.
Hello from tomorrow, as I like to say.
Hello from tomorrow. This man knows the score for the game.
He sees the future.
He sees the future.
A little bit of time travel.
There you go. Well, like the thumbnail said, and this is a sensitive topic that was really, really big about 2-3 years ago. It seemed to have kind of got pushed to the wayside, but it's focused on arming teachers in the classroom. Should teachers be allowed to carry firearms in schools? And what are the thoughts coming from a teacher's perspective? Not just a teacher's perspective, but you'll learn a little twist down the line when we start asking questions about this particular teacher, how she views it, but at the same time, what she thinks is best as a non-teacher as well. So with that said, Vanette, we'll go ahead and jump right into it and ask, how long have you been a teacher?
Well, I've been in the education system for over 15 years. I started as a substitute teacher, became a para, worked my way up, and been teaching full time. This is my 8th, almost 9th year teaching. And
Nice.
I've taught pre-K, kindergarten, special needs. Those were my certifications. So a lot of experience in the school system.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
pre-K, that's about 5, 6, 7, 5.
Year 3 to 5s.
Richard! Oh, wow!
3 to 5.
Yeah,
And then
3
what
to
about
5-year-olds.
What about special needs? What age is that?
Well, special needs, I've worked in the high school system. So I've worked with high school kids who have special needs. I've worked with kindergartners, ages 5 and 6 with special needs. So, I've seen a good range.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, my real question here is, it dives right into the topic. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about teachers being armed in the classroom?
Well, my short answer is no. Should never happen. I have a few reasons. The first being, teachers have a ton of responsibility throughout the day. And it's difficult for us to manage a lot of the day-to-day going, testing, grading things, picking kids up, dropping kids off. There are emergencies that happen throughout the day. Kids get sick. So you're all over the place. Kids are all over the place. So for me, it's a matter of logistics, and it's a matter of training.
Yep.
How are we going to train teachers to use these weapons? How are we going to train them to store them properly, access them properly when they need to be accessed? Are they going to carry them throughout the day in a holster? How is that going to work? When you're shuffling kids from place to place. We're going to keep it in the desk. To me, the logistics of it is very difficult. It's just, we could go to the jokes. People make jokes. Well, who wants their teacher's kid to be armed? You piss them off or you piss her off, and then, that's it. But it's a joke, but
we've seen those videos where some kids get choked out, where teachers snap.
Classroom involving a music teacher and a 14-year-old. So what started as a fight and why some students are standing with that teacher tonight. ABC's Will Carr picks up the story.
Come on, bro. Yeah, walk back.
Watch the tense moments just before a brawl breaks out between a teacher and pupil.
Bro, did you really say that, bro?
This 14-year-old repeatedly calling his African-American teacher a racial slur.
Bro, say it too, bro. You're right here, bro. Everybody watch what's up.
Hurling a basketball at the teacher. According to students, the confrontation sparked by an alleged dress code violation.
You ain't telling me.
After asking the student to leave the class, the teacher, Marston Riley, eventually snaps.
I'm telling you, right?
Pulling the student to the floor, pummeling it with repeated blows to the head. Riley arrested, the student sent to the hospital. The community of Maywood, California now split on who's to blame.
Happen and things of that nature. We've definitely seen those videos, which is
absolutely
kind of that is the joke, but it's a serious situation. People are human.
It is,
and people can snap. People can snap.
And teachers are human. We're superhumans, but we're humans at the same time. And we have emotions. We get stressed out. We get angry. It's those are normal human emotions. So.
Yeah. Now, do you have peers? Do you have peers that think otherwise? That think they should be able to carry in the classroom?
I'm sure they exist, but none that I've met so far.
Okay, not vocal to you.
Yeah.
And just
not
for, I know. Right. I know the answer to this, but I'll ask so that the viewers. Do you carry concealed? Do you own a firearm?
I do. I do have my permit to carry a concealed weapon. Yeah.
And how often do you train?
Okay, so you're going to be very upset at me.
Because you already know, I always ask you
I
and your
know.
husband, it's like, when's the last time you been to the range? Yeah.
It's funny enough. I just asked him that a couple days ago. I was like, I really need to go to the range. I have to brush up. It's been it's been a while. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's important.
it happens, and it's important. And then me, I have to do my part to make sure I reach out and say, hey, when's the last time you've been to the range, and just reinforce that. So, I'm always going to do that. I talked about it in the last show with Will. Every time I call Will when he was in Georgia, I would say, hey, I'd start the conversation out with that almost. When's the last time you've been to the range? And he was like, oh man, but yeah, that's something that.
But see, that also brings me back to our conversation. If as a gun owner, I'm not training as often as I should, how
Right.
are we expecting teachers who may not have ever been gun owners or have ever held a gun, have
Yeah.
zero experience with a weapon to now
Yeah.
have a weapon in their workplace and train to use this weapon on a regular basis so that
Yeah.
they know how to use it when they need to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And you've been a gun owner for a while now, that I know of. And maybe you don't train, but if I know anything about your husband,
Yeah.
he has sat down and showed you, and I mean, you have been to the range. I know that.
And I have experience. I mean, I worked for the NYPD for a bit. I lived in Brooklyn. Hey,
Hey,
who doesn't have
listen, we could talk
that
about it.
experience in Brooklyn? We
That
won't
might be
talk
another
about it,
show.
but it's a different topic for a different day. But
Right.
we've
Right.
had weapons in our home for many years, and when our children were pretty small, and my husband and we make sure that they are aware that this is a serious thing. It could take your life. So
Right.
they've always known, never show it off to friends. We never play with it. It's not a toy,
Right.
and we keep it where they won't have access to it. And I think that's important as well.
Right.
They know we
Yeah.
have it. They know that it's a weapon, but they don't have access to it. So, being
Yeah.
responsible.
Good. Now, have you taken the kids out shooting yet?
Yeah, my son has gone. My daughter has not. But we definitely want to get her out. But my son
Yeah.
has. Yeah.
Good.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah,
know
he's a
these
good shot.
answers. Yeah, I'm asking for the viewers. I know the answers, but very good, very good. I love it, and we'll go out. I'll be down in Florida. I don't know, January, February, hopefully January.
Okay.
So we'll go out and we'll hit up the range, take the whole
We're holding
family
you
out.
to it.
Oh no, that's nenever a problem.
I know, right?
I
I
travel.
forgot who I was talking to for a minute there.
You don't have to.
I'll probably travel with my case and forget my clothes. I mean,
Right. Well, we don't ever have to ask him that. That's a given.
right.
Yeah, that's
bring
a
guns?
priority.
Toothbrush me
Yeah.
at the
Right.
house. Will, what questions do you have? I've got a bunch, but I feel like I'm taking over the conversation, and I know you have a lot. And Vanette has a couple of questions for you, living in Thailand.
Okay, well, I just wanted to jump back a little bit since we dove right into the heaviest part of the discussion.
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump back a little bit, Vanette, as a teacher. Obviously, school shootings has been an unfortunate trend in America for some years now.
Can I jump in and give you the numbers? I have the numbers.
Please do.
2023. This is scary, by the way. In 2023, there have been 77 school shootings. I didn't see, and I can't remember 77 school shootings. 27 of those school shootings happened on college campuses. 50 happened at schools K through 12. I don't remember that ever hitting the news.
Me neither.
And I'll circle back to that. Right. And you as a teacher, you haven't,
No.
you know, yeah. So I'll circle back to that, but continue. Yeah.
That's crazy because I remember, at least from my memory, the genesis of this all was kind of the Columbine shooting back in, I think, the late 90s.
Yeah.
99.
That was when this started to pick up. So the fact that we're now to the point where 70 plus shootings are happening within a calendar year and we don't even know about the majority of them, I think that speaks to the frequency of the occurrence. And again, Vanette, as a teacher, how do you feel about that on the job? You know, when you're a teacher, obviously you have, depending on the school, you might have 25 children that's in your care at any given time, and it's your job to be able to protect these children. How has it changed you doing your job, knowing that this is something that's happening throughout the country?
Well, I mean, I can speak for myself and my colleagues when I say that it's nerve-wracking. I mean, it's difficult to go into a job every day, preparing yourself for how you're going to protect these little children if something happens. And, you know, I have colleagues who have 25 kids in the class, 20 plus. You know, fortunately for me, I have the little ones, so I have maybe my class size is 11 right now. But that's still 11 lives that I'm responsible for. And responsible used to be, I come in, I teach them the ABCs, I teach them how to count, you know, I teach them how to read, I teach them how to do a little math. I make sure that they are in one piece when they go home. They don't scrape a knee, they don't, you know, that was the maximum that I've ever had to worry. You know, did they eat their lunch, you know, and we send them home and that was it. Now it's like you have to be hyper vigilant. I'm constantly looking at people when they come in the building, making sure they have an ID. When we're outside, I'm constantly scanning the yard to make sure that I don't see anything that's concerning. You know, we've had drills. It's alarming to know that we have to practice drills for active shooting in the school, and it's frightening. If you've ever been in one of those drills, it's really frightening and it's stressful for the kids.
I meant to ask, you know, when you mention that, because of the age that you're in care of, do they? I mean, do you see the trauma that it causes in them? Or are some of them just think, you know, it's a game?
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, you get the mix. You get the kids who are, you know, have been in school before and they are familiar with the drills and they're kind of like, okay, well, this is just a drill. And then we get the new kids who are like, this is you know, the alarms start going off and you're shuffling them into a corner and you're kind of turning everything off. The lights are off and they're like freaking out. They're covering their ears. They don't know what to do. They're crying, you know, and you just have to calm them down and say, look, it's just a drill. We're just practicing. We want to make sure that, you know, you guys are safe. And so, you know, it's not easy for sure.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. I can't imagine it being easy at all. Go ahead, Will.
No, are the children given the context behind the drill? Like we just had to worry about fire drills in our day. So are they given? And sometimes for you guys, I'm sure too. Sometimes you might have like a fireman come to the school to explain to you why fire drills are important. With this new type of drill for students, is that same type of context being given to them?
It's a good question.
That is a great question. I mean, for the high school kids, you know, I'm pretty sure they understand. They've experienced Stoneman Douglas, and they know. They have friends. that have known someone who's known someone, or, lived in the neighborhood or live near the neighborhood. So the high school kids know. Middle school kids, they know as well. The elementary school kids, it's a little tougher. How do you explain to a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old that we're practicing for a shooter? So for me, I don't bring up the shooter part. I just say, strangers do get into schools, and we want to make sure that if a stranger who may want to come into the school and hurt someone, or someone who gets lost and has bad intentions gets in the school, that you guys are protected, that you guys are, hidden away from them so that they can't see you. I don't like to get into the gory details of it. So, that's how I do it. Other teachers may have better ways of doing it, but, I still want to be real with them. You want them to understand that this is serious, because if it ever were to happen in real life, you want them to understand that, no, we got to get to safety right now. This is not a joke. So we want them to understand that it is serious, but at the same time, we don't want to scare them too much. Yeah.
What would be your response if the public school system in Florida made it a mandate for all teachers to carry firearms? What would be your reaction?
It might. It's rough for me, because I could say it would be my last day. I would have to find something else to do.
I have a feeling that it would be a lot of people's last days.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have a child in school. I still have a 14-year-old who's in middle school. So, I mean, I'll leave, but then he's still there. So I might have to homeschool him too. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, and these are the things that I'm a teacher and a parent. So I have to think about all those things.
Yeah.
Wait, let me ask a question.
So it's scary.
Is this something I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Will.
No, I didn't mean to cover at all.
No, I was just saying that it's really scary to even have this conversation, for that to be your thought process as a parent or a teacher. Am I going to quit if I have to carry a gun? So it's a ludicrous thought. Like, I can't even believe that we're having this conversation. So yeah.
And that's where my next question was going to be, is this something that's actively on the table? Like, is this being pushed?
Oh, good question.
I really haven't heard anything about it. Like Serge said, they brought it up. It was, now I have seen positions for armed guards, at schools. We do have the school resource officers, and that's as far as it's gone. I haven't seen them push the issue. I think that the pushback has been too much, and they understand that it's not something that we want to do. So they really haven't been pushing the issue too much. But, who knows? I mean, 77 school shootings, who's to say after the 100th one, they're not like, well, come on, teachers, let's see what y'all can do. So, I mean, well, you're in Thailand. How are you? This is, you have a different perspective living in Thailand. How is it in the school system there?
Well, the schools here are very much different than the schools in America in a lot of ways, because the culture here is different. So, people here don't carry firearms at the rate that they do in the West. And it's not that shootings don't happen, because they do. As a matter of fact, I think it was last year, not too long after we came, there was a guy who went to a school and he killed quite a few kids. It was an
Wow.
unfortunate
Yeah.
situation. It's not in Thailand that situation would be like the Columbine here. You know what I mean? Like this is not a regular occurrence. Mass shootings and things of that nature are not a regular occurrence here. So it's not something that people are worried about. Not even just your standard acts of violence, because the culture here is it's a very non-violent culture, and for the most part. Obviously things happen. There are bad things everywhere. There are bad people everywhere. So it's not as
Yeah.
though this place is perfect in that aspect, but just
Right.
on the scale of things,
Well, see, that's what I was.
it's like night and day.
It's definitely night
Yeah.
and day. But just to point out, the last shooting was October 4th. It was at a mall in Thailand, and it was a
Yeah, that was in
14-year-old
Bangkok.
kid. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like it happens everywhere, not with great frequency, but what are the laws like in Thailand when it comes to possession? I mean, I know the answer. I'm asking you, what have you come to find as far as owning firearms in Thailand?
Well, to be quite honest, I haven't come to find anything because I haven't bothered to look it up. Because I told you I'm not interested in carrying. I know that.
What about purchasing? What about just
is,
purchasing?
I think in the East, I haven't even looked into purchasing, Turge. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't know. I know that it's like a tedious process to own a firearm here. It's not like any and everybody can do it. What the exact process is, I'm not sure. But I know that in a lot of Eastern countries, like a lot of countries on this part of the world, they're very hard on crime. So for something that might get you 6 months or maybe probation in the States, you could do 12 years here. I've read stories about, it's not really gun related, but I've read stories about people getting arrested for drug possession here and it being their first offense, and they get 15 years. And the prisons here are not like the prisons in America where you might, you got a rec room with cable and things like that. You got your own cell and a bed. Like, you might be sharing a cell with 20 people and no bed. You know what I mean? And the conditions and the sentences are so that they really deter you from committing the crime in the first place. That's the objective here.
See, but I think that is key. I'm so sorry to cut you off, Will, but I think that is the key. The law, the government, they are the ones that are deterring the crime. They're not leaving it up to the citizens. And I think that's where we have a problem. They want to make it the teacher's responsibility to protect the kids and to, defend the kids against armed crazy people. Whereas in Thailand, the government is like, no, we're going to make sure that the punishment fits the crime. So people don't want to, or I think that's the difference. Stop putting the responsibility where it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong with us.
Yeah. Do you feel safe with the resource officers at the schools? Or should I say resource officer?
Officer. Officer. I mean, look at what happened at Stoneman Douglas. The SRO didn't even enter the building. Now, do I fault him? Not 100%. Because yes, he's an SRO. Yes, he's a trained police officer. However, does he know what he's going into? He has one pistol against someone with a semi-automatic, rifle.
He was outgunned.
And you as a human being, that's not a natural thing to have to decide. So no, I don't. Short answer, no, I don't. Because, that's one officer. Our school has several buildings, like most other schools. How are they going to be in several places at one time?
Yeah,
you
they
know.
can. At best they can isolate where the problem is occurring, and then call for
Right,
backup, and
right,
then wait 5 to 15 minutes for the backup to
right.
arrive. However long it takes. Um, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
so
And
man,
at
that's
any given time you call 911, it could take up to 5 to 7 minutes, you know, for them
oh,
to take the call for police, you know, to be headed to the scene. Do you know how long that is? That's a long
oh,
time.
oh, I know. I know how long it is. It took an hour, a total of 57 minutes for them to respond to an attempted break-in over here in
Wow.
Charlotte at my house. I got home from work when I got the news before the police arrived with their investigative team.
Wow.
Yeah, so I talked about it in the last one, and I talked about it in a couple of other videos, but I don't want to bring it up anymore. But listen, I understand police have a hard job. I mean, we all know, we personally know, and we have personal close friends that are in law enforcement, so we know how that job goes.
Right.
You know, we can't fault all for one or two, or for a system that's not adequately I don't know, set up to protect. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you there's no way one resource officer
It's the
can
design.
protect 1,800 kids. There's nowhere. I think the statistic, Bill, was in our last show, 1,800 officers in Charlotte for a population of 879,629
Wow.
Almost
people.
900,000
You
people. Yeah,
can't
it's
you
crazy.
can't expect that. Right. That's unattainable. I mean, you get the level of service that I mean the situation calls for.
Right.
And of course, when there's trouble at a school, you want a high level of service. But if you just don't have the manpower for it, you just don't have the manpower for it. I'm gonna go to a lighter topic along the same lines, but you know when we talk about this, I know it stirs up a lot of emotions for you, because you know you're right there in the same neighborhood where these schools are, plus you're at the school, and then I know viewers, there's a lot of them in Florida, they're looking at this like, Jesus, I can't believe that there's been 77 shootings on school campuses. 50 of them were K through 12. That's
Right.
insane. That's
It is.
insane. What
Let me before
what
you
made
before you
you?
jump though, Cuz,
Oh, go ahead.
before
Go
you
ahead. Go
jump,
ahead.
because I
Yeah.
did, when you mentioned that earlier, it brought a question into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But Bennett, with you being a K through 12 teacher, what is the discussion with parents with regards to firearms? Because some of these shootings are, the students bringing their parents' guns to school. So is
I was going to
this
circle into
is
that.
there any type of discussion between teachers and parents?
No. Sadly enough, no. I mean, that again, that's a great
Wow.
point. We don't talk about this enough. I think that it makes people so uncomfortable that
Yeah.
we just are happy sweeping it under the rug. We're happy with just like, we made it through the day. Let's just, let's not even talk about it. The closest I've ever gotten is, and because again, I deal with the small ones, that my conversation has always been like, hey, parents, make sure your kids are following directions, because in this is 2024, and unfortunately we live in a time where anything is possible. So please make sure, if I say go, your kid is ready to go, and we don't really have enough conversations with the parents. And I think that the school board needs to do a better job of bridging that gap of bringing the parents into the conversation, because like you said, the guns are coming from their homes. So why are they not involved in the discussion. As a parent, yeah, I've been asked if this is something that I would like. Absolutely not, because I already know that, and especially the middle schoolers, they mouth off a couple times, and I've seen, like you said, Serge, teachers lose it. So, I know that a lot of parents would not like that. We've also had parents who volunteer to come to the school armed. There are parents who are like, yeah, we're ready, sign us up. Put that gun in our hand. We'll be there. We have those parents as well. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely, especially here in Florida. So
that's what I was going to say. I'm sure in Florida, you got a line out the door. I'm here.
We have a line of those parents too, but then we also have those parents who are like, absolutely not. It doesn't belong. It shouldn't even be a thought.
Those are new Florida residents.
The transplants.
Right, the transplant.
Yeah.
Question: What made you? I don't want to say get into firearms, but what made you comfortable with getting your own firearm, owning a firearm, and then going to get your concealed carry weapons? I know the answer for this too. And then how long have you been? And how long have you been carrying for?
So I am a reluctant gun owner. Let's just put it that way. I don't want people to think that, like, nothing against people who are gun lovers. I'm not the type of person that would be pushing to have guns, everywhere all the time. Nor am I the person who's like, hey, let's get rid of all guns. I think that that's a utopian idea. I would love to live in a society where we didn't need them, we didn't have them. That would be great. But I'm a realist, and my husband actually is the one that was like, let's go. It's not safe out here in these streets. And especially after the pandemic, I don't know if you guys felt this way, and maybe, Will, you have a different perspective being in Thailand, but I mean, it's like we came out of the pandemic into chaos. Like, I just feel like people have kind of lost it a little bit. And, the aggression and the violence has increased. And my husband was like, nah, you need to get on it. And so, I just recently was officially licensed and to carry after the pandemic. But, like I said, my husband's been a proud gun owner for many, many, many years. Many years. Gotta love him. So, he finally got me on the bandwagon. And, like I said, I don't believe in that we'll ever get to that utopia. But, like I said, you never know. And I don't want to be put in a position where my life is threatened and I have no means of defending myself.
But if it have it, not need it, not have it is the term, the phrase that a lot of us use. I mean, it's the truth. That's a fact. It's the truth, and things happen, and you're right to circle back on your point. Post pandemic, things have. I mean, I don't ever use profanity on the shows or my videos, but I think in this instance, it's not profanity, it's reality. Shit has hit the fan. And it's become relatively lawless. I've done a couple of videos where I'm just trying to scratch my head on, who jumps a wall while somebody's walking into their home to rob them at their front door. I mean, there was another video where somebody went into an apartment complex parking lot, and these guys were getting out of their car, robbed them at gunpoint. And what made me kind of sick to my stomach, as most of them do, they know who this guy is. He has bonded out of jail 5 times. I got his name. Deshaun Dow, he's bonded out of jail 5 times. I'm scratching my head up. It's like, how is he bonding out of jail first? What are these charges he's bonding out for?
Yeah.
And if you know this guy's loose on the street with a gun robbing people, pick him up. Get him before he kills somebody. You know?
Yeah. Well, that goes
we
back
could-
to
that-
our discussion about law.
There we go. And
No, go ahead.
that's a whole other
That's a show.
rabbit hole.
That's a series.
That's a whole other show. I don't even know if that's for the 2A community to discuss, because people like that
Right.
in the system that we live in is like, that's why the 2A community is important.
Exists,
is because
almost.
yeah, that's why
gotta protect
that's why it
ourselves.
exists, because you have to. It's the wild, wild west. And to your point, Vanette, for me, we knew that we were leaving America before the pandemic, but in the middle of the pandemic, watching what was going on, I would tell my wife, we got to get out of here, yo, because like, for me, and this, Serge, this is why I said the first time we did one of these, I didn't enjoy carrying a firearm, because during that time, especially watching what was going on, I knew I'm gonna end up having to kill somebody. Like, I felt that, because I'm looking at things that are happening very close to where I live. Like, I'm looking at people, home invasions, rioting, people not being able to drive through certain areas without being harassed or attacked in their vehicles, like areas that I go to. And I'm like, oh shit, I may be in a position where I'm going to have to kill somebody to protect myself or my family. And that's never what I wanted.
Right.
So that's when, leaving became, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Now you making the decision to leave because you're thinking to yourself, am I prepared to kill someone to protect my family? Now, bringing it back to the topic, how many teachers are going to be prepared to kill someone, to protect their students? How many teachers are going to have that instinct? We have officers that don't have that instinct. The one who ran.
Especially that student you don't like.
Leave that student alone. That student needs love.
Some teachers might
You
wake
really
up in
need
the
to
morning.
stop talking about that student.
I had to lighten it up. Especially that student you don't like.
You're right.
Needs love.
You're right. They might wake up in the
No,
morning.
but
He better not
seriously.
say shit to me today.
Take this one.
Today might
Use
be
this
the day.
one.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Like, are they really gonna be? Hey, so these are all things that we have to think about. Like, you're a gun owner,
Absolutely.
you have to be prepared to take someone's life. At any,
Absolutely.
it's a real
That's true.
thing.
Yeah, I tell my wife, my family, my students, participants all the time. The last thing I ever want to do is use my skill set, and nobody goes out there. Well, sane people don't go out there wanting to this, that, and the third. We're not. What's that guy's name? Florida dude. He killed that kid. Zimmerman.
George Zimmerman. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not this guy patrolling the area acting like we're police.
Right.
Call the cops and leave it to the cops. I'm definitely not that. If you ask people how I move now, I'm home. I'm a homebody unless I'm going out there for a class, work from home, or if I'm going out training, this, that, and the third. If I go to a supermarket, or Walmart rather, it's when the least amount of people are there, not at nighttime, in the daytime. I'm the
Yep.
guy at Walmart at 5:58 in the morning because we don't have 24-hour Walmarts out here. At the door like this. It's 5:59. You can open the door. You know, get my stuff, get in, get out. No line, no waiting, no problems. You know. But
Walmart
I'm
I don't
learning
know.
how to order
understated
my
all
groceries
that.
online, actually.
You know what? That's a whole different story. Listen, Malika ordered. This was like a year ago. She placed an order for bananas. Like she placed a whole order, but you know she put bananas in there, and I think she put 12. Right? How many you want? 12 bananas. This was during the pandemic, as a matter of fact. Not. This was during the pandemic, or a little bit after the pandemic. We were still ordering food. This idiot brought 12 bundles of bananas. 12 bundles of bananas. I'm
Wow.
like, you gotta stop ordering. You gotta stop ordering because they're not gonna get you. The produce, they're not going to get right. They're not going to check it. They're not going to make sure it's good or spoiled or this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
You got to stop.
Yeah.
Let me go back to talking about guns where I can be decisive. Vanessa,
All right,
how
so-
do you feel today when you carry? And do you carry on body or off body?
Well, it depends. Okay, so I have a little side hustle, and I'm also a realtor. So that's another reason why I decided to definitely start carrying.
Yes.
Because
walking into empty houses with strangers.
you never know. You never know. You know, and you know, people solicit you to for business to look for homes, and you assume everyone is sane. You assume everyone has good intentions, but you know, we've heard of realtors being killed as well. So I'm learning. It's not a normal habit for me because you know, I've had some traumas with guns, so I really don't. It's not a normal thing for me to go, oh, gotta have my pistol, you know. So I definitely, my husband is the one that's like, it's on me. It's gonna be on me whether I'm going to, you know, the grocery store, wherever we going, you know, he's that type. So he's the one that has to remind me about that. But you know, maybe I need to do a better job at owning my stuff and being more responsible with, you know, making sure I know more about, you know, my weapon.
I think what if I was to have to give some advice, it would be to, because we already know you own the firearm, you have a concealed carry. It would be to treat it like your car keys in your wallet.
Yeah.
I know my routine is to, you know, at night put my car keys, my wallet, and my pistol all in one location. Because here's the thing. Whether it be you just having to run out or whether it be an emergency, you want to have these key things that you're going to need. If you have to grab, they're right all in one place. Like I have a completely separate bag. Firearms owners would call it a go bag, with all sorts of stuff, ammo, extra pistols, extra mags that I can just pick up. I don't have an extra set of car keys in there, and I don't have an extra wallet. So I keep you know, whatever carry pistol I took off my hip that day, I keep my car keys, my wallet, and my pistol all in one location close to me. So I can't go anywhere without my car keys and my wallet, and then my gun's right there. So that's a good practice.
See, but here's the thing though. Like, okay, so I work at a school, obviously, and we're not allowed to have a gun within a certain distance of the school, which
lock it in the car.
Lot. So,
lock it in the car.
You can't have it in the parking lot either.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not allowed to have it in your car.
You're absolutely allowed by law. but it has to be. It has to be. And I know Florida specific state laws. I can speak to Florida specific state laws and Charlotte. But for you to have a firearm at your school, it has to be locked in a case, not just in your glove compartment. And I'm talking about on school grounds. I'm talking about on school grounds. Even if you're a concealed carrier, it has to be in your car, locked in a case, or a cable locked, rendering the firearm unaccessible and unusable in that state. But you absolutely
it
can.
can be in the parking lot. It just has to be locked.
Has to be locked. It must be locked. If it's just in your armrest and it's not locked, now that's when you can get in trouble. It has to be locked to where there's some sort of deterrent. If anybody breaks into your car, they have to go through extra steps to go ahead and get this firearm. And it also cannot be visible to plain sight.
So how do they suppose we carry these guns with us every day?
Well, that's why you're not carrying them now. I mean, it's
just being a smart ass. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but this is the great question, the great debate. It's like they want armed students, but they don't want guns on campuses. So basically, they want police officers teaching their kids. So now teachers have to be police officers, but still get paid. We can't. I'm not even going to go into the pay. Let me stop right there. That might be a whole different show.
Please don't even go there. That's a whole different show that we could be. I'll be here for hours. I can definitely address that.
Right. Yeah.
That's a global. That's a global
issue. Were you
issue.
trying to ask the question? I'm sorry, I didn't. Yeah.
Now I was going to ask because I know in Georgia, obviously Georgia is a gun positive state. I phrase it like that. So when I lived there, I worked for a company that they had a policy where we were not allowed to bring guns on the premises at all. We couldn't have them in our vehicles. It was company policy. So what I was going to ask Serge, how do people know whether or not their work policy is superseded by the actual legislation of the state?
Well, policy doesn't trump law. Right? Policy doesn't trump law. Let's start there. And then number two, I know the company that you work for, right? That you worked for. They don't own the parking lot. The parking lot is always going to be public property. They can't tell you what to do. Nobody can tell you what to do on public property as long as you're operating within the confines of the law.
That's a fact. However, people, I think, have to understand that your employment could be in jeopardy if you were found.
Let me say it again. Maybe my headset's not working. So, policy does not trump law. And as long as you're operating within the law, policy cannot dictate. It cannot say, "Hey, you can't have this in your car in a public parking lot." To me, that sounds like a lawsuit. If your job were to take action as far as enforcing their policy regarding public property, which is paid for by public tax dollars, not private entities.
Got you. It just seems like a slippery slope to me for the simple fact that
super slippery. Super slippery. Because my security came in 6 years ago and advised us of that situation. And then I became more educated on it. So they basically said, the company security basically said, you can't dictate what happens in a public parking lot, even though it was adjacent or connected with the private entity.
Got you.
And obviously, I'm speaking high level, for a reason, obviously, but Yeah, at the that's like saying, hey, well, you can't walk on this public sidewalk with your firearm past this building because you work for us. You're not going to work. You're walking past the building that their sidewalk is right there. It's public property.
Well,
Gotcha.
I think there you
Gotcha.
go. I mean, we all need to be educated on the law. We need to know
Yeah.
what, we are legally allowed to do and not do. And, it's all interconnected. Even with with educators owning firearms, you're telling us that we have a law right now that says we cannot bring the weapon into the school, but yet you want teachers to be armed. So then that means
Yeah.
you have to change the law.
Change the laws,
You
right?
know?
Yeah. And that is the law. Like I go over it in class. You can't bring it in. You can't bring it on college campuses. You can't bring
Right.
it into schools.
Right.
You can't bring it into any state or federal facilities, things of that nature. So that is the law, you know. But if you're on public property other than those places, you're fine. So all of this are discussions that a lot of people haven't had, and it's like before you even get into discussing, should there be firearms in schools? Like you said, you need to discuss changing the law. Now, just for me, I don't want firearms in schools. I don't. I mean, we can't even trust daycare workers to take care of our kids. They're abusing kids. Then you have schools. Like I said, teachers snap. They're human beings, and I would hate to have to respond to a teacher snapping. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't want to change the laws yet because we don't want that.
yeah,
We still want to be protected in that sense. So, but that would be an issue. If you want us to, be armed, you would have to then change the laws. You would. So it's not something. It's not even something that we could do easily. The steps that you would have to take in order to do that is, to me, it was such a ludicrous request to say, okay, let's arm teachers. It's like something that somebody just spat out. It was like a brain fart.
You definitely need to.
Some people
it's
went
like
with it.
drinking bleach to get rid of COVID, or shine a bright light up here.
Yes, it was one of those.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of those, and we're like, okay, what do we do with this information?
I'm like, let me get a shot of bleach. Get rid of this.
But here's the thing. That's one of those solutions. Yeah, it may work, but it may kill the host too. So everybody gonna die. So it's like, we might have instances where a teacher successfully protects the children from an intruder, but we may also have instances where a teacher has a bad day and the student that they don't like has a worse day. So it's I think like I agree with you, Vanette. I think it was always a bad idea, and I'm happy to know that you don't know any colleagues who are on board with it. I think it's a relief, because I honestly feel like some of the teachers that I had in high school, I'm like, yeah, let me get a firearm. Let me get the strap.
And here's something that I don't think anyone else has thought of. Here's something, what if a student gets a hold of the gun?
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother show. I mean, I'll close on this, because we try and keep a time box here of 60.
See, we could keep this going forever. That's why this is such a good conversation.
Listen, there might be a part 2.
Okay.
I mean, but listen, Dave Chappelle said it best. And all these drills that we're running in the classroom and at the schools, aren't we teaching the shooter too?
That part.
Whether it be internal or whether it be the guy breaking into the school. Aren't we teaching the
That
shooter
part.
too?
And a lot of the shooters come from within the school there or former students. So we're showing the kids what to look out for. Yeah.
They're giving them the blueprint.
Exactly.
Well, listen, Vanette, this has been, man, more than insightful. We thank you for taking the time out to give us this firsthand experience, firsthand insightfulness, talking to the people. I honestly have not seen a show like this online discussing in depth, without arguing, teachers, how they feel in the classroom. I mean, this has been great. And so we definitely thank you for taking the time out, and there may be a part two. If you have the time, I'd love to further the discussion with you. Maybe get the family involved and have a whole discussion on that. Will, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I second those sentiments. Thank you, Vanette, for having this discussion with us. I learned quite a bit. It's great to hear from somebody who's actually on the front line in a topic like this. So for you being someone in the classroom who's there with the children, and I learned quite a bit about what's not being done. So I think having discussions like this is actually it would actually help us to better protect the children and the faculty in the schools, because everybody, you have an outside perspective and an inside perspective. So I would love to do it again, because I think there's still more to build on. So
well, listen,
this was great. This was great. Thank you.
We could definitely schedule another call. Well, we'll send the information over, get the times right, and we'll look into it. But for now, we are signing off.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it was our pleasure.
You're still here. It's over.
Another one.